What is going on, everybody? BobbyFi and Kenny Hyder. We're going to be talking through this Houston Open. Look, we don't have all the top guys, but we've got more of them than we used to have for this tournament. And I did want to remind everybody before we jump into the slate and welcome Kenny in that, look, it's MLB season. The prices are never going to be as cheap as they are. Yes, there will be some additional packages at some point that are up there. But with the partnership with PayDirt and with SaberSim, I really think that it's one of the most unique and extensive, comprehensive offerings in the industry, along with all of our content, all of Sheets' which have been the nuts projection, and he's back in business now after having some time away, and all of Goldie's stuff, all of my stuff, Brandon Cruz for NASCAR, Adam Perry, Rhodey, etc. And I think now's a great time to join. So with baseball coming up, I do want to remind you guys of that. We also are running some trial packages, so if you haven't checked those out, check those out. With that said, we're going to jump into this slate and say, Kenny, how are you doing? I know you were in Hawaii and you're just back. I'm sure you can't be too happy about that.
It's not actually warm even here in LA, which is upsetting. So, but good to be back anyway. So
nice. Okay, well let's jump into it. We're gonna start off. We'll go through the tiers of what we like in each range, and then we'll play our little game at the end. Had a good week on FanDuel last week, not a good week on DraftKings, and it's so much easier to get those 6 of 6s through on these wild events on FanDuel than it is on DraftKings. I found so far this season. But look, we only have 2 guys over 10K, but I assume that we're both going to be playing a decent amount of both of them. What are your thoughts on the Scheffler versus Rory debate here?
So obviously. Like them both. Rory has been in amazing form. I think he looks just so good. And Scotty has been, he hasn't won yet, which I think that's kind of the expectation, which is a huge one. But I mean, it is Scotty Scheffler. So I think a lot of people this week are probably going to be leaning a little bit heavier towards Rory than projections look. Right now it looks like Scotty is projected much higher, but I don't think that I believe that so much. But also, I ran a model this week, and Scotty always comes out number 1 in pretty much every model. But you'd expect Rory to be number 2 or number 3 typically as well. And in my model, he came out 6th. So for me, I'm kind of like, oh well, maybe this is just a week to just go with Scotty. I think I'm actually a little surprised that Rory's playing this week. We know that Scotty likes to play in Texas. He's a Texas guy. He likes Texas golf. He always plays, he always plays this event, and he's had really good success here. Rory hasn't played this. Not in the past 5 years at least. So I'm wondering kind of why he's playing it. Maybe he's just feeling it and wants to stack up another win before the Masters or something. But I'm a little skeptical of, his motivation here. So I don't know. I definitely think this week I'm going to be heavier on Scotty than Rory.
Yeah, I hear you. In all fairness, I feel like so far this season, Rory's been the best player in the world, and doesn't take much this time of the year. He's got 2 wins in the top 5. He's been better than and don't you feel like Scott? I mean, look, this is not has been his A game at all, but he's still obviously been solid for a normal guy. I think that we're starting. Look, there's no concerns, but I think we should start at least engaging in the conversation of. Maybe we aren't going to see exactly what we saw the last couple of years with him. That's just where I'm at.
Yeah, absolutely.
In real life, but I just think that we've got to at least start exploring that conversation. That maybe the field's caught up a little bit. Maybe the desire goes away a tiny bit after you have a kid and you've got you're winning everything. Maybe there's a little something happening. Just throwing it out there.
Well, and you know what? I was late to the what's it? I keep wanting to say. Something else, the Netflix show that covers all the guys. So I just started watching that this week. I know everyone already watched it, back when it came out or whatever, but I'd been traveling and stuff and hadn't really watched it. And I actually kind of like watching it right now just because, especially 2 weeks into the, before the Masters and stuff like that, kind of hearing, recaps from the guys on their season last season. And Scotty in, I think it was the 2nd episode, was talking about himself and his season and stuff like that, and he's like, I don't know if I'm just on a heater or whatever they call it or whatever, are just trying to keep it going. You know what I mean? Because you never know how long these things last.
Right.
And then, December, he injures his hand and then he doesn't play the beginning of the year, and maybe he's Hedger's off now. So who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, it could be. And again, I still think he's the best player in the world. If you had to tell me who's, the most likely, whatever, I would just say him to win any tournament. But I still think that, we just have to start engaging in the conversation. At least we've seen this happen with a lot of other people, maybe not to the extent where how high he flew and then falling. But I'm not saying he's falling even. He still might be the best player in the world who finishes the year as the second best player in the world in terms of what his results are. It's just possible. Mm-hmm. Anyway. Yep. All right, 9K range. What do you like here? I'm pulling up my sheet on the other screen, so I'm actually honest about what I like in here. What do you like in this 9K range?
I pretty much like none of it.
Whoa.
Yeah. So again, going back to the model I ran, it's just kind of an interesting. So first of all, let me preface everything with saying I haven't had a winning week since the second week of the season, so probably don't know what I'm talking about. But
there's high variance.
But in the model I ran this week, which was just heavily focused, this is going to be a really difficult course. It's a long course. Putting is it's more important than pretty much almost anywhere else except for Augusta. Approach and short game are also really important. It's going to be it's going to play really difficult, and par is going to be a good score for a lot of guys. And on top of that, we're going to have, a bunch of weather, which is just ups the variance. Right.
Yeah.
So, when I ran the model that I ran, which was highly focused on those a couple of metrics, off the tee, approach, putting, and then course history and bogey avoidance mostly, mm-hmm. 0 people came up in my top 10 that were in the 9K range. There was Scotty, and then Rory came up 6th, and then everyone else was below 9K. So I thought that was really interesting. And also looking at, when I sort my model by salary and look at the, the variance on their aggregate scores of the model, Scotty got a 90, and then, dropping down to, second was actually Mav McNeely for me, which I thought was interesting. We'll talk about that later, but he then got an 80, right? So there's a big drop off, but the guys in the 9K range for me, they're just all, they're like low 70s and 60s and stuff like that in this specific model I ran. So not to say that I won't have any exposure here, but I do think, with Scotty and Rory at the top, it doesn't make any sense to me that JJ Spawn is the third most expensive golfer. That's just not a name I'm used to seeing. I know, I understand that, but I mean, if you think JJ Spawn and then Aaron Rye, it's like these are number 3 and 4 most expensive. That just seems, I don't know, it just doesn't seem right to me. You know what I mean? So I think I'll probably be mostly avoiding the 9K range.
Interesting. Okay, so I'm a little different on this one. Minwoo Lee might end up being my highest owned player. I'm gonna gamble with this one a little bit. Maybe he doesn't end up quite there, but as of right now, he's right up there as one of my highest owned. Aaron Rye is another one that I've got a lot of exposure to, and I mean, I guess that's sort of the my early builds. Using a combination of Goldie and Goldie and SaberSim's projections, and then Goldie's ownership, because it's much more accurate, I think, than SaberSim's is as of right now. I will incorporate Sheets' projections later, but I also did put weights on players I want. But I'm getting double of what I asked for Minwoo, and he's my highest owned player at the moment. Other than that, I do have Aaron Rye around 20%. I've got Finau around 20%. Finau has the best, historical record here, obviously, of anybody. But this is also a stronger field than usual, and he hasn't played that well, but I still am willing to gamble on it. We just saw a guy last week that proves exactly the only golfer above whatever set the lowest owned golfer above 7K last week or whatever the hell it was Hovland because of people's perception. And what does Hovland say after he wins the tournament? He starts talking about how he's still hitting disgusting shots and not playing well. The guy, you got to like the mentality. He was. Oh yeah. He had become one of the top 4 players probably in the world a few years ago. He's on the PGA Tour, and after he won the FedEx Cup, and he was furious. So he decided to change everything because he couldn't stand that Scotty was winning everything. So, and he's just one of those guys. I kind of like that about him, but I've never heard anybody say that after they won something that. Just talking about how terrible they're playing.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point is that I do think that I'm willing to overlook that in the case of Finau. So Finau, Rai, Minwoo, I am heavily exposed to, and then I am just gonna, sort of in the same vein, just bet that Sung J M starts to correct things at some point. So he might be right around 10% for me. Nothing huge. All right, Kenny, you don't like the 9K range. It must mean you like some things in the 8K range. So what are you looking into down here?
I do like the 8K range. I'll start off noting this will be the first week I probably won't be on to Michael Kim that much. I know he's been playing great, and I've liked him every week, and I was right every week except for one. But I did see a tweet from him which made me suspect. I mean, he tweeted that he was tired and he was ready for a break and, ready for a week off. But this is probably his last chance to maybe potentially qualify for the Masters, but he needs a top 20. But, he wouldn't mind taking a break anyway. So I'm kind of like, maybe not this week for me. Yeah. So I thought that was kind of interesting, which is, I take with a grain of salt. It's not like he's going to go play and not try to play well. You know what I mean? But just a little bit of a disparaging comment from one of the guys that I've really been onto a lot lately. Anyway, also in the 8K range, I'll be back to Siwoo this week. I really like him. I think he's one of the best golfers in the field. I don't think I think I don't really understand why he's priced down here below, some of these guys. Like, why is he cheaper than Sungjae? You know what I mean? Like, doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, just historical, I guess.
Yeah, but still, I mean, I don't know. So I really like Siwoo. Also really, really like Jacob Bridgman this week, although I do think he's going to gain a little bit more ownership than he's projected to, just because of his performance last week being so stellar and, being in the lead for a couple of days. And I had him in single entries and stuff, and that unfortunately took him out of the cash.
I almost had that lottery with him on FanDuel.
Oh man. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. And then, so this is where it kind of gets weird for me. So like I said, my model surfaced a bunch of stuff, but including a bunch of guys that have like recently missed a bunch of cuts. So like I'd mentioned, it put up Mav McNeely is coming out number 2 to Scotty Scheffler in the model for this week. But he's missed his past 2 cuts. But I don't know. I think there's something to it. Like he's also, he's got great stats. He's a good golfer. Like, even though, he missed 2 cuts, it was the API and the players, and this is a much weaker field, much different golf course. So, he's also had some decent performance here, a bunch of, he's had 3 top 20s and a top tie for 27 in the past 5 years. So I'll be on to Mav McNeely this week. Also, I like Alex Smalley and Max Gracerman, who also both missed their last 2 cuts, but guys that I think have just been in really good form this season, and rate out really well, really around the game, through the club or through the bag game. So those are going to be probably pretty high focus for me this week, even though, the ownerships don't look like I'm getting any kind of steals on these guys, but I do like them. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm interested in some of those. The guy I've got the most of here, and I've got him like 25%. I really like Dietrich. I think that he's getting a little bit overlooked, and it doesn't look like anybody's playing him. I'm high on him this week. I'm high on Michael Kim as well. I'm also high, again, not as high as I was a couple weeks ago, but still high. I also like Steven Yeager. And these are all double-digit guys for me. I guess I mean, the truth is, I think I'm going to end up underweight Scotty and Rory, and I guess we'll see what happens. Because that's why I'm getting all these exposures down here. I just think it's an interesting contrarian, way to play. And I think that's where I'm at as of right now. I got Pendrith at 12%, and Smalley I've got at 20%. So and Gracerman at 15%. So there's a lot of guys in this range that I have some interest in for sure. Thigala has not looked right, but it's just, I'll keep an eye at the ownership as it keeps going. I feel like everyone's talking only negatively about it.
He came out hot on Thursday last week, and I basically last week played the wave advantage, and it ended up not working out for me at all. But he was not in the wave that I was targeting, so I had 0 exposure to him. And halfway through Thursday, I was like, whoops. But it ended up, he kind of stumbled and it ended up not being the reason I lost. But yeah, interesting play there too. I do think, I mean, you know, he's played decent here in the past as well. I think he's played it this is only his 4th season, right? So yeah, he's played it every year that he's been on tour, and he's made every cut. So, and I think he's probably in better form now than he ever has been. So,
Yep. Fair. That's that makes sense. All right. So moving to 7,500 to 7,900, what are you getting, if anything,
here? A couple of guys. Again, model surfacing another guy that missed 2 cuts in a row, Ben Griffin. You know, and Ben Griffin's had a lot of you know, spotlight on him. I feel like this season he, you know, had a couple of really great finishes early. And then he misses, you know, cuts at the Players and last week at the Valspar. So I don't really know what to think about that, but I probably will have some exposure to him again, just because, you know, I like to pony back up on those guys that I think are going to have good seasons, and I think he is going to be one of them. Also, Harris English, I'll be back to this week. I think that this is going to be a good course fit for him. He rated out really highly in my model as well, especially for in this price range. And he's another one of those guys that has just a really good all around the game, good all around the bag game. You know, has the length and accuracy off the tee, has, you know, the putting, has, you know, the around the green play and all that. So I'll be pretty heavy on probably Harris English, and then skip down all the way down to 7,500 flat, where I'm going to be onto another 2 missed cut in a row guy, Harry Hall. Along with
he missed a cut last week.
He misses. Oh, sorry, you're right.
He was because I had him. He was in contention, and then he had a terrible weekend.
Right. Yeah, he missed the 2 before that. My bad.
No.
And Mackenzie Hughes, who I'm a little bit, I don't know, just kind of maybe have a little bit of a, you know, around the field exposure to, and then Seamus Power, who actually I do like quite a bit this week. Has plenty of distance, has the accuracy, you know, has the around the green game. And I think that he's going to have a good week here as well.
Yep. I only guys I'm getting above 10%, because I'll just try and keep it, because I don't want to name everybody. I'm going to stick with Joe Highsmith as being my highest owned and Ben Griffin as my second highest owned. So I agree on the Griffin one. Next up would be guys like Nick Taylor, then Mackenzie Hughes for me as well. Maybe Taylor Moore a little bit, but those are the main ones for me. All right, 7K to 7,400.
All right. I only have a couple here.
Yeah.
I like a little bit of Max McGreevy, who I think is, you know, he's been playing decent this year. You know, he's made pretty much every cut since Phoenix. And, you know, seems to be playing pretty well. I'll be over the field on him. And then a little bit of Bo Hostler for me at 7,200. And potentially also a little bit of Andrew Novak at 7,300.
Yeah, I'm not getting too much in this range, to be honest. I don't have anybody in double digits. Got a bunch of guys around 4%. I guess the highest owned I would have in this would be Doug Gim at 6%. No, Norgard Moeller, I guess, is my highest owned in that thing. But yeah, not a whole lot for me. A little bit of Novak, but nothing I've gone crazy with here. Echeverria has been pretty good, and at low ownership, I could see thinking about that one, but he's just all over the place a little bit. I don't trust him entirely. Yeah. Fowler's played better this year, but I just, again, not my favorite range here. I guess I have a little bit of Harry Hall, but nothing that really stands out for me in this range that I got in my most recent builds. Okay, under 10K, Kenny. I'm sorry, under 7K.
Oh, I do have what? Oh, sorry, one more.
Oh, sorry, 7K to 7,400. Sorry, excuse me.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, in the 7K to 7,400 range, I actually really like Thorbjorn Olsen this week.
Okay.
He rated out really high in my model. He has a really good, another guy, total solid profile, not really any deficits in his game. Then also, who was it? There was one other one that I really liked here. Victor Perez, who I think is also, a good fit for this course. Had a top 20 here last year, and has had a couple of decent rounds the past few weeks. So I'll be on to him as well. Outside of that, I don't really think that there's much else here for me, but maybe a little bit of Joel Damon, just because I think that he, he's been playing okay. I don't mind that he missed the cut last week. He's, been playing well the rest of the season so far. And also, has played very well here in the past with a couple of top 10s in the past 3 years. So
that's fair. I didn't realize that he had. So actually, maybe I'll bump him up just a tiny bit. All right, under 7K, Kenny. What do you like down there?
This is where I don't really have much, and I don't really think you need to so much this week, just because there's only Rory and Scotty to worry about, and where you need salary savers. But also for me, just not really going to be on to the 9K range so much. I'm not really needing to dig so deep, I don't think. That being said, I will have some exposure to Patrick Fishburne, who had a pretty hot start last week as well. Ended up with a T28, and looks like he's kind of getting into form a little bit. And also then a little bit of Ryan Fox, who's also got, looks like he rates out pretty well for the course here, and has the distance, has the around the green, and the tee to green numbers, especially for his range being down here. So those are really kind of it for me. Let me just double check. Yeah. So another weird one that popped up for me was Zach Johnson.
Oh my God.
Which, I thought was really odd. I don't necessarily like it. I just thought I'd mention it because it's the first time I saw his name come up on anything that I had, ran as a model or anything like that. But I am just interested in why that happened, which is just kind of making me more question the model than anything. But
yeah.
Anyway.
No, that's interesting. All right, I've got a few, but my biggest one is Ryan Fox. I'm okay with like double digits of him. I think this is it should be a decent course for him. Mac Meisner is my next favorite. I actually like Pot Getter this week. He's actually, again, is going to have some wide range for a young guy, but we've seen the good, and I'll keep rolling with it. Toasty is the most impossible guy. Like he finished second here last year. I don't know what to do with it exactly, to be honest with you, but I may end up with just a little bit of that. And one that I have some interest in that I don't think that most people even know who this is. I've got a little bit of Frankie Sappin, but the one who Kaito Onishi. So I've got him actually at a decent number here at like 4%. It's pretty, which is not nothing for a guy who's literally projected to be what they have him at 0.01. So he's my and he's 6K flat. So he was my bottom of the barrel one. All right, Kenny, but we're going to play the game. I'm going to rerun my builds with my updated stuff and see what I'm going to pick from each thing. But we're going to start off with you deciding who's winning the tournament. We don't need to get trendy. You can just go with whoever you like here.
Yeah, I'll just say it's going to be Scotty.
That's fair. My guys have not been so great to me, so great to me of late for my winners. Actually, there was a couple weeks where we did pretty well, but so I'm going to stay though with my going a little bit contrary. I'm going to. Do I really want to say this? I guess I do. I'm going to say Minwoo Lee.
Okay.
Just had the few bad holes last week. Otherwise, that would have been one of the. Anyway, I had a feeling about him, but he didn't quite get there anyway. So, all right, Minwoo. All right, Kenny. Let's move down to the under 10K to top 5.
I'll go with Wyndham Clark.
Oh my God. Okay. Wyndham Clark scares me. I feel like I'm afraid of, like, I can just see the second day withdrawal thing from him. And let me just double check with my, it's still running my stuff. All right. I'm going to go with, I'm going to go with Thomas Dietrich at low ownership. So I'm a little off the board this week, which, by the way, has not been a bad thing. If you look at the winning lineups lately, you'll see like 4 guys who are like 2% owned.
Yeah, it's been wild.
All right, under 9K to top 10.
Under 9K to top 10, I'm gonna go with, fuck it. I'm gonna go Mav McNeely.
All right, I'm gonna say Alex Smalley, and we will go to under 8K to top 20.
Under 8K to top 20 for me is going to be Harris English.
Harris English. One guy I didn't mention that I like is Jake Knapp, and I just forgot to mention it. You got Harris English, and I will say I'm going to say Joe Highsmith, but a little shout out to the Knapp play. I just wanted to throw that out there. All right, under 7K to, or best making the cut, or anybody makes the cut, whatever, however you want to look at it.
Under 7K?
Yep.
I'll go. I'm going to steal your pick and say Ryan Fox.
Okay. Well, that's going to leave me with Mac Meisner. All right. Now we need to go above 9K to miss the cut.
I'm going to say Sungjae.
Okay. And then I should have kept the one sheet from last week so I can keep track of this. I'm going to say above 9K. I'm going to say Davis Thompson.
Oof, nice.
That's a little bit of a, I don't know if I should have said Wyndham, because I have this, I can already picture the withdrawal in my head. And by the way, there's going to be a couple withdrawals this week. I'm just saying, it's going to happen. Always between the players and the master.
Yeah. There already were. Yeah. So.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, good luck to everybody this week. I'll post my exposures and everything a little later today. We got a lot of busyness going on. We got the MLB season starting tomorrow. We got NBA winding down towards the playoffs. We've got the obviously some serious golf tournaments coming up. This week, not as serious, but we still have golf going. And I just want to encourage everybody, since we partner with PayDirt and SaberSim, and we've got all of Sheets and Goldie's projections, all of my content telling my exact exposures all the time, so you know what to fade. No, I'm just kidding. And then we've got our whole team is just much more robust. We're still working on fixing the site and getting it to look better, but all the tools are there for you, and the prices will never be as low as they are right now. So check it out. At least do a trial package before the MLB season. Kenny, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, let's have a great week, and hope the weather doesn't screw anyone too hard unexpectedly.
Absolutely. Well said. Good luck to everyone, and we'll see you